In the panel, we have Undersecretary Ernesto C. Torres Jr., Attorney Leia Tanoda Armamento, National Amnesty Commission, Bishop Noel A. Pantoja, Philippine Council of Evangelical Churches, Justice Angelita Miranda, Office of the Solicitor General, and Lieutenant General Jimmy D. Larida, Vice Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Yusek Torres.
Kaya magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. Una-una, gusto natin magpasalamat sa ating mga kapatid sa media who stayed on until matapos yung Executive Committee meeting that was held this afternoon here in Malacanang. Of course, thank you for staying here and for you to discuss with us a very important message to the Filipino people. So the Executive Committee of the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, or NTF-ELCAC, led by no less than our President as the chairperson, President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos, ably represented in this afternoon's meeting by Honorable Executive Secretary Lucas P. Bersamin. We have just concluded the meeting, and we are here to present the key decisions that have been approved for immediate implementation or review. So these actions reflect and reinforce the government's unwavering commitment to unity, peace, and development, and the eradication of local communist armed conflict through a whole-of-nation approach. So if I may give you a recap of what transpired in this afternoon's meeting, as the basis probably of your questions to the other panelists here later. First item is the oath-taking of the new members or new Cabinet Officer for Regional Development and Security, members of EXICOM and the cluster heads. With the recent termination of designation of some secretaries, cabinet secretaries, kailangan na makapag-redesignate tayo ng mga cabinet officer for regional development in security security in 5 regions, no? 4 regions. One is the DICT Secretary Henry Aguda was designated as CORDS for Region 4B. While DPWH Secretary Vivencio Dizon as CORDS for Region 9 in Zamboanga Peninsula, Vice Secretary Bonoan. And then we also have DOH Secretary Teodoro Herbosa as CORDS for Region 10, replacing Secretary Acusar. And then we have DA Secretary Francisco Tiu Laurel as CORDS for Region 12, replacing Secretary Yulo Loizaga. And then additionally, the following also took their oath as new Executive Committee members. Secretary Maria Teresa Lazaro of the DFA, Secretary Dave Gomez, also of the Presidential Communications Office, and Secretary Aliling of the Department of Human Settlement and Urban Development, Secretary Garin of the Department of Energy, Police Lieutenant General Jose Melencio Nartates Jr. of the Philippine National Police, Chairperson Shirley Agrupis of the Commission on Higher Education, and Solicitor General Darlene Berberabe as EXICOM member. And also, Bishop Noel Pantoja, who is here with us this afternoon, of the Philippine Council of Evangelical Churches, as one of the private sector representative of the EXICOM. Because in the organization of the NTF-ELCAC, we are allowed to have 2 private representatives. No? So one of those private representatives would be filled in by PCEC, represented by its National Director, Bishop Noel Pantoja. Also, the following officials took oath as cluster heads of the NTF-ELCAC. We all know that we have 12 clusters under the NTF-ELCAC, 12 different clusters. And one of those is the STRATCOM, o Strategic Communications Cluster. So doon, ang ating mga co-lead for that particular cluster would now be ADG Francis Jude Lawenko of the NSC, and his co-lead would be, of course, ASEC Maria Ella Eduardo Clark of PCO. Also, as the new lead of the SUCBEM cluster, which is Sectoral Unification, Capacity Building, Empowerment, and Mobilization Cluster. No? Dati NCIP lang ang lead ng SUCBEM cluster, but now it would be given to the NAPSI, National Anti-Poverty Commission, of course represented by Secretary Lopez Santos III. Also, Chairperson Marie Grace Pascua of the NCIP took her oath as the co-head of the SUCBEM cluster. And lastly, Assistant Secretary Elmer Cato of the Department of Foreign Affairs took his oath as the head of the International Engagement Cluster, another of the 12 clusters of the NTF-ELCAC. So if I may give a rundown of what transpired, and then probably yung mga areas of concern ng other panelists, you can just direct the questions to them later on. For instance, the next item is the recommendation to extend the Amnesty program, because we all know that its termination will be March 13 of 2026. So there was a recommendation to extend that to March 13, 2028. However, its approval was held in abeyance pending further review of the Office of the President. So that's the status on that. Now, we also discussed the bill that was filed recently, Senate Bill number 1366, and I'm referring to the Terror Grooming Prevention Act. So, the EXICOM expressed support to the passage of the Terror Grooming Prevention Act because this will strengthen our preventive mechanism against radicalization, recruitment, and indoctrination, especially among the youth and vulnerable sectors of our society. So as I mentioned earlier, this was already filed this month. I just can't remember the exact date, but I think it's September 9 or 7, SBN 1366, as a critical shield to protect vulnerable Filipinos, youth, indigenous communities, and farmers from being exploited and radicalized by terrorists. So this bill disrupts predatory recruitment that turns hardship into violence, empowers communities to reject manipulation, and delivers justice and rehabilitation to victims, all while safeguarding legitimate dissent. So we believe, the EXICOM believes that every day without this law leaves our people exposed to terror networks preying on their struggles. So we actually commend Senator Bato de la Rosa's leadership and urge all peace-loving citizens and lawmakers to support Senate Bill number 1366, which is a decisive step toward a Philippines where communities thrive and every child dreams safely free from terror's shadow. So another agreed upon action is the initiative to file a prescription case versus the CPP, NPA, NDF. So concerned agencies will work on it for its realization. So we recommend initiating legal proceedings to formally classify CPP, NPA, NDF as a terrorist organization. So we all know that at this point in time, the CPP, NPA, NDF, these are designated terrorist organization under the ATA, on Anti-Terror Act of 2020. But yun nga, hindi pa siya prescribed. Maybe the legality of the terms of prescription and designation would be further could be further discussed later by Justice Miranda, who is with us today. And then there's a manifestation also from the executive committee to ensure that the funding for the barangay development program, which is 10 million pesos per barangay, and we have earmarked 808 barangay for next year. So there is a manifestation that the amount recommended, which is in the NEP, which is 10 million per barangay, would eventually be approved in the would come out in the GAA. And then some specific projects, big projects actually beyond the barangay development program on constructing farm to market roads in 10 different regions were discussed, and there are commitments to source out the needed funds for these very important farm to market projects. Well, in 8 regions, correction, not 10 regions. And these are INCAR, regions 1, 2, 5, 6, Negros Island region, and regions 12 and 13. And then lastly, the last agenda item that was discussed, of course, this is not a very big project amounting to 30 million for the construction of school facilities in Pinukpok, Kalinga, no? In 2 areas. One is construction of 3 units, 1-story, 2 classrooms at Limos National High School, Pinukpok, Kalinga, and the multi-purpose pavement with the stage and slope protection at Malaap Elementary School in Baay, Pinukpok, Kalinga. So, in a nutshell, in brief, those were the things that were discussed this afternoon during the executive committee meeting.
First question from Tuesday New DZBB.
Good afternoon po. Yusek, sabi nyo kanina may recommendation to extend amnesty program. Ano po ang dahilan nito? Is it because na kukonti pa lang yung nag-apply as expected or target ninyo? Ilan na po ba ngayon ang mga nakapag-apply na for amnesty?
Tuesday, may I direct your question to the chairperson of the National Amnesty Commission?
Sige po.
Good afternoon, Tuesday, and good afternoon, everyone. Ang initial number of expected applicants is 10,000. Then, at present, we have a total of 4,269 as of September 19. Then we got an information from that Task Force Balikloob, wherein they informed us that they have a total of 50,000 potential applicants, and we have the remaining 6 months to receive the application. So we fear that there may be potential qualified applicants that may not be covered if the application will end in March 2026. And then there was a discussion why we are requesting for 2 years. The reason for that is that when a proclamation for amnesty is issued by the President, we have to ask Congress for concurrence. So if we want that, we only ask one more time from Congress, so that it will be too much of an effort from the part of the National Amnesty Commission. And also, the data of the OPAPRU on the commissioning, they have 40,000 decommissioned members of the MILF and MNLF, which are also potential applicants for amnesty.
So parang ma'am, para mabigyan pa sila ng chance.
Yes.
Dahil maikli na yung panahon na sa tingin ninyo hindi aabot yung iba.
Yes.
Tama po ba? Thank you po.
Next question, Raquel Bayan, Radyo Pilipinas.
Good afternoon, sirs, ma'am. Anyone can answer regarding po dun sa prescription case na nabanggit nyo kanina, Yusek. Can you enlighten us bakit ngayon lang po? And yung mismong process, how long will that take po from the filing until the formal classification po?
Justice Angie, can you answer that? Please.
Hi, a pleasant afternoon, everyone. Okay, to answer the query, the procedure on prescription as against designation. Designation is an administrative process. It's being tackled at the Anti-Terrorism Council. Whereas in prescription, you go to a designated court of appeals. And the procedure would be, the recommendation would come from NICA. You know, NICA, the National Intelligence Coordinating Agency. Then it will refer the recommendation to the ATC. Then the ATC will then go to the DOJ, which will now apply for the prescription of an organization or an individual.
But can we expect na ma'am that within the year makuha po natin yung target po natin na maklasify sila as terrorist?
The DOJ is supposed to answer that because they'll be the one to file the application. At this point in time, there was just a talk that there's a move that we're going to apply for the prescription of the CPP, NPA, NDF because make it of record that 7 countries have already designated them as such. That's why it's already designated here in the Philippines too, but we would like to make an upgrade of that to go to the court in the way of prescription.
Maybe for USEC na lang po. USEC, once ma-classify po sila formally as terrorists, ano po kaya yung mga changes na mangyayari or gagawa natin when it comes to yung paglaban po natin sa CPP, NPA, NDF?
Well, yun nga, once na ma-proscribe na sila, we will have more legal basis in arresting those groups that espouses violence in solving our societal issues or societal problems. So it would give more teeth, no? Especially to our security sector and yung mga legal partners natin to really arrest those people who espouses violence.
Thank you po.
Next question, Chanel Salazar, DZXL.
Good afternoon po, Attorney Leia po. Nagdesisyon po yung Supreme Court kanina na i-suspend muna or hindi muna matutuloy yung BARM election sa October 13. May epekto po ba yung pagkaantala ng BARM election sa proseso ng pagbibigay ng amnesty at reintegration sa mga dating rebelde po?
Thank you for the question. Wala naman ho, kasi ibang process naman yung amnesty. This is part, insofar as the BARM is concerned, this is part of our peace agreement with them. So, iba naman po yung ang election, that is a political matter that the BARM will deal with. Ito naman po sa ating gobyerno po, ito specific.
Bishop Noel, you have something to say? Okay, next question from Grisel Pardilla, PTV.
Good afternoon po. You've mentioned po yung 10 million pesos. From what number po yun? And ano po yung mga projects included dun sa 10 million barangay development program? Thank you.
Yes, 10 million pesos per barangay was requested and it is in the NEP for the BDP 2026. This is actually the third year that we've been recommending na 10 million pesos per barangay. But in 2023, same amount was requested per barangay, but only 2.5 million. 2024 it's 2.5. So okay, let's start with 2024. In 2024, we recommended for 10 million per barangay. Only 2.5 million was approved. But when we reported that to the EXICOM, the president gave the instruction to recover or find more funds to support the BDP, and luckily 5 million was added to that. Therefore, 7.5 million was a total allocation per barangay for BDP 2024. And then for the current year, again, 10 million was recommended for the 780 barangays in the current year, BDP 2025. So, ganun pa rin, 2.5 million per barangay lang ang nailagay sa GAA. But there is a standing instruction once again from the chair of the NTF-ELCAC, the president himself, to find ways na makapag-source out pa ng fund para madagdagan ng 5 million ulit to make it 7.5 per year. And in this afternoon's discussion, the DBM secretary was there also. There is already a way to which we can supplement the 2.5 by another 5 million per barangay. But as it is now, 2.5 ang nasa GAA, and we are in the process of sourcing out an addition of 5 million. So once again, for 2026, we again recommended 10 million pesos per barangay for the 808 BDP barangay for 2026. And this time, we are hopeful, more hopeful that the 10 million pesos per barangay would be approved. And important to this is that it may sound big, 8.08 billion for the 808 barangays all over the country. But this is a government's project, our commitment to these communities which were neglected for a very long time. Kaya sila yun ay exploit, madaling ma-agitate. So, after clearing this, because BDP barangays, part of the selection process is that they were formerly influenced by the CPP, NPA, and NDF. Then through a very, very long and painstaking process na clear, na-capacitate natin yung mga local chief executives doon, meaning the mga barangay captain. We were able to establish the integrated territorial defense system so that they can also protect themselves from any threat. Na commitment natin yan. And an important process that we should also know is that yung pondo dyan hindi po dumadaan sa DILG, hindi dumadaan sa NTF-ELCAC, lalong-lalo na, it is released directly to the implementing unit. Meaning, doon po sa municipality or city kung saan nakalocate yung beneficiary barangay. Hindi po at random yung pag-select ng mga barangay na yan. It has to, there are certain parameters, yung dating influence, na-clear na yung barangay, and yung clearing pa lang ng barangay, napakahabang process na yan because it includes the, getting rid of the political and military structure of the CPP, NPA. That's only one. Capacitating the local chief executives or the barangay-based institutions to be able to, facilitate the delivery of services, and then the establishment of integrated territorial defense system wherein the uniformed services, the CAFGU, and even the civilians in the area, they work together to ensure na wala na pong reincursion ng mga different threat groups, not only CPP, NPA, but to include the criminals and the other terrorist groups. So, ganun po yan. So, napaka-importante that the sooner we make good with this commitment, the communities would feel that there's really a government that cares. That is a very important factor in our campaign, establishing peace and unity. Because when the people felt, yung mga nakausap ko po ng mga former rebels natin, kung bakit, what made them decide to turn their back on, on believing that violence, only through violence could they resolve the root causes, the societal problem. So sabi nila, when they felt for themselves that there is a government that cares. Nung naramdaman nila dan sa mga malalayong lugar, ay umaabot na ang ating gobyerno. And there are just 5, in answer to your question, there are just 5 core projects under the Barangay Development Program. One is Farm to Market Road, school building, health stations, pwedeng water system, and electrification. Hindi po pwedeng lumabas doon. They may come in different combination. Depende sa pangangailangan ng barangay sa area. Yung mga nasa barangay officials, they are a part of identifying kung ano yung project na mas kailangan nila doon, given a certain budget. That's why it's very important kasi pag nag-submit sila sa atin ng project worth 10 million, for example, health station yon at saka eskwelahan and water system. Now, kung magiging 2.5 million lang yon, hindi natin may ibigay sa kanila yung ibang projects na kailangan nila doon. So, we are appealing, of course, to our legislators to approve as recommended and as submitted in the NEP, na 10 million per barangay because yung barangay natin would really benefit from these barangay development projects. So, thank you.
Next question, Chona, UDZRJ.
Sir, just a quick follow-up on Clay's question. What are the safeguards that the NTF-ELCAC will implement to ensure that this fund will not go into corruption, hindi mapupunta sa mga ghost projects and substandard ang pagkagawa? Ano yung ilalagay niyong guidelines doon or safeguards?
Yeah, we have a very strict guidelines in monitoring its even from the release pa lang ng mga funds doon, tapos implementation of the project. So as I've said earlier, the funding is released directly to the municipality or city where the beneficiary barangay is located. And DBM, tapos Bureau of Treasury, then diretso sa implementing LGU. Once na ma-release ng Bureau of Treasury yung pondo na yan, they are directed or mandated na mag-enroll doon sa Subaybayan Patrol. Ito yung online monitoring ng DILG on the implementation of the BDP program. That's for the digital. Physically, there are several levels of monitoring. At the national level, multi-agency led by the DILG. Minsan kami rin sa NTF-ELCAC sumasama sa kanila and other agency. We go down to select barangays, lalo kasi yung reports na ginagawa ng mga monitoring teams, different monitoring teams are submitted every quarter. And then kami rin sa Joint Regional Task Forces, meron din kaming accomplishment report. So we can identify already kung meron man mga problematic barangays. So pinupuntahan yon to resolve the problem if there is any. So meron sa national, meron sa provincial, meron pa sa municipal. So everybody is involved. No? Even those yung nag-i-implement ng project mismo, they hire yung mga taga doon mismo sa community. So I'm happy to report to everybody that as of 2024 we have zero irregular COA finding. No, and that is for the implementation of 780 barangays. So as we speak now, 2025, we have already served 4,830 BDP barangays. Tapos ang lang doon, if I remember it right, the only finding na maalala ko, kasi dati 2 years lang yung paggamit ng pondo 2021, dapat December 2023 nagamit na yung pondo. So anong nangyari, natapos pero lumampas sa termination yung yung paggamit ng pondo pinambayad niya. So that's the only one. Yung iba, ayaw nilang magkaroon sila ng COA finding, yung ibang local chief executives, may mga, it's on record, binabalik po nila yung pondo. Tapos, minsan naman, dahil biglang tumaas yung mga presyo or malayo yung pag-i-implement ng mga projects, inaabunuhan po ng ating mga local chief executives. So, it's really a nice system wherein they have ownership in the implementation of the project. Kaya po, napakaganda. Kaya, Mama Chona, wala po talaga tayong ghost project. At saka even the quality of the project, even us, meron silang seminar na for the non-engineers. Ano na yun? Training for non-engineers so that when we join them in inspecting kahit yung mga cracks, yung paggagawa ng water system, we kahit hindi kami engineers, we have an idea on what to inspect. So that is a very good system that everybody is involved in seeing to it that these projects are implemented properly and all the funds that are allocated to it are being used properly.
Isa na lang, sir. Ma'am, to AFP or kay Bishop Pantoja, sir, ano pong papel niyo sa program na ito, and then how are you going to approach the rebels to return sa government?
Sige po, mauna na ako. But thank you. Yung unang question mo, this is a blessing to the church, but at the same time to the country na ang Office of the President, ang NTF-ELCAC, through its program, yung National Unity for Peace and Development, has invited the church to be engaged in this. Makakasigurado po kayo sa presence ng church ngayon, babantayan natin yung mga ghost projects. At makakasigurado tayo na Ang church talaga ay galit sa corruption at tinindigan natin to hanggang ngayon. Pero bakit nandito tayo? We heeded the call of the government to help in identifying and giving solutions. 50 taon na ang problema ng digmaang ito. And hindi lang bilang religious leader, pero tayong mga Pilipino, we are God-fearing people and we love peace. And so, nakita natin ang bagong approach na ito for unity, peace, and development. As followers of the Prince of Peace, and that is the Lord Jesus Christ, dapat talaga ang simbahan. Talking about barangay development plan, ang mga simbahan natin, we are located in every sitio and every barangay. May magagawa ang simbahan para hikayatin ng mga tao na tumulong at magkaroon ng tunay na kapayapaan and lasting peace dito sa ating bansa. And we're praying also na kung ang simbahan ay may engage dito at makatulong sa paghinto ng rebellion by identifying and answering the root causes of rebellion, which is poverty. Ang kailangan lang naman ng mga tao ay buhay na maayos, pagkain, trabaho, at kabuhayan. Kung meron yan, tapos na. And merong magagawa ang simbahan dito. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that difficult question. Well, to be specific, yung sa ano po muna, yung in support sa statement ni Yosek Torres about paano masiguro na magamit ng tama yung pondo ng BDP. May experience po ako nito katatapos ko lang nag-brigade commander sa Palawan. Malaki ang role ng field commanders ng AFP. Considering unang-una, alam nyo naman na nararating namin yung hindi narating ng iba. So pag may mga recommendations ng BDP projects, tinitingnan namin talaga. Then, sa implementation, the military commander in the area is a member of the either Provincial Peace and Order Council or PPOC or the Regional Peace and Order Council or the RPOC. At pinag-uusapan po yan doon kung ano na yung mga nangyayari sa BDP. At may separate din na reporting yung military units going up the echelon about what's happening sa BDP. Responsable rin po kami sa BDP kasi nga part din kami na nag-recommend noon in coordination with the LGUs kung ano yung talagang totoong pangangailangan nila. So malaki ang role ng AFP to ensure na yung BDP funds are used wisely. Then sa effort po ng NTF-ELCAC as a whole, nasabi na ni Yosek Torres kanina about how to clear certain barangay. Of course, napakaraming rotating parts po na sa equation, but of course the AFP is in the front line of this. And I would like to report the success of NTF-ELCAC that based on the parameters on the clearing, we have a steady decline in all the insurgency parameters. So example po dito, in terms of manpower, in 2022, 2008 yung CTGs natin, and by the end of first semester of 2025, bumaba po sa 901. So halos less than half na lang ang natira. And in terms of firearms, from 1,817 in 2022, bumaba po ito sa 731 by the end of first semester of 2025. So, malaki po ang role ng Armed Forces of the Philippines in contributing sa objectives ng NTF-ELCAC. And of course, isa rin kami sa agency na pinaparamdam namin sa mga kapatid natin na rebelde na mahal sila ng gobyerno. No? And masaya kami na maraming susuko at tutulong sa atin sa development ng ating bansa. In fact, sa experience namin, sir, nung brigade commander ako, meron kaming isang rebel returnee na officer na ngayon. Officer na siya, second lieutenant na siya ng Philippine Marines. So maybe kilala niyo siya si Kay Traka sa akin po yun sumuko nung brigade commander ko sa Palawan. And I'm so happy na nakita ko yung potential niya. And she is now a second lieutenant ng Philippine Navy Marines. So yan po, ay pinapaliwanag po namin sila na mahal sila ng gobyerno.
Sir, does
Thank you, ma'am.
does
Thank
it
you.
mean, sir, na less combative na ngayon ang military towards the rebels?
May based sa ating pong complaint plan na sinusunod ng ating AP units, meron tayong sinusunod. In fact, may mga timelines na binibigay, but still sa ating as we counter this, maraming rotating parts again sa equation, and the target date could go right or go left. No? But sana, hopefully, go left or ma-meet natin yung target timeline. But yes, ma'am. As the Armed Forces of the Philippines is shifting also for territorial defense missions, we are winding up our ISO internal security operations. Thank you,
Next
ma'am.
question.
Thank you, ma'am, for the question.
Thank you, sir. Next question, Tuesday, noon, DZBB. Mike.
Sorry ma'am, kay Attorney Leia po. I-follow up ko lang ma'am, sabi niyo kanina, out of the 10,000 expected applicants, 4,000 plus po yung nakapag-apply. Of this number po, ilan na po yung na-approve for amnesty?
We're happy to announce that the President recently, actually we just received it yesterday, approved 9 recommendations. We recommended, this is the first batch. We recommended 9 and all of them were approved by the President. So they are now waiting for us to issue a certificate of amnesty.
Parang kokonti pa lang yun ma'am out of 4,000.
Ngayon pa lang kasi ma'am, dito, ngayon pa lang nagkaroon ng na-complete yung signature ng members ng National Amnesty Commission, yung ex-officio members. Kasi we are like 7. So the 3 is me, that's the chairperson, sa dalawang commissioners. And then the 4 are secretaries of justice, Secretary of Interior and Local Government, Secretary of National Defense, and the Presidential Advisor on Peace, Reconciliation, and Unity. Lahat na to, ma'am, na dinadaanan ng papel, nagre-review. So, mga isang linggo to isang buwan, o 2 buwan pa, bago nila pipirmahan. So, matagal. Doon kami, ma'am, nagtatagal. Yan ang bottleneck namin.
Is there a way ma'am para ma-shorten yung period?
Actually, ma'am, we're trying to find a way. What we did is, we called their lawyers. So, they sit with our lawyers to discuss. This is the resolution. So, meron na. Pero sometimes, pagdating kay secretary, may additional siyang requirement. Like, ito, ma'am, sa DOJ, sa ating application form, meron na po tayong under oath yun. May admission of guilt doon. Nare-require pa rin ng DOJ na there will be a separate sworn affidavit of admission of guilt. So, babalik uli ang papel, ibabalik mo uli yan sa baba, hahanapin yung, di ba nagtatago kasi noon ang mga rebelde, wala pa kasing safe conduct pass. So, nagtatago sila, hahanapin mo sila kung saan sila para pumirma. And then, ibabalik namin sa DOJ. And then, sa DND naman, ang hinihingi niya yung JAPIC. Ma'am, yung Joint AFP, PNP Intelligence Committee certification. Hinihingi nila sa amin original. So sabi namin, hindi naman kami ang nag-i-issue ng JAPIC. Kayo yun eh. So you provide the original. So ibabalik na naman namin yun sa kanila. Ganun, ma'am. Maraming matrabaho. So, ganyan kami sa National Amnesty Commission, meron na kaming 285 na na-resolve, na umiikot yan sa lahat ng ex-officio members. So, kung kailan siya babalik, yun ang hinihintay namin, ma'am. Hindi namin control yun, ma'am.
So, parang yun ang isa sa nakikita natin, ma'am, na hindrance para sa mas mabilis na pagproseso sa kanilang application.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next question, Clisel Pardilla, PTV.
Ma'am, nasabi niyo po may 50,000 pa na potential. Nakaapekto po ba yung flood control mess and corruption issues? Kaya na-discourage po sila. And what are we doing about it? Thank you po.
Ma'am, parang hindi naman sila affected doon sa issue ng flood control. Kasi yung corruption, hindi sila affected. Kasi different ang issue nila, ma'am eh. It's principle nila ito, di ba? May prinsipyo silang pinaglalaban. Nagkakataon lang, the way they are fighting for their principles is beyond that is allowed by law. So, ito yung kanilang issue, ma'am. Hindi nila issue yung corruption. So, kung ano man ang tawag dito, issue ng corruption, parang political issue dito sa atin yan. Sa kanila, ma'am, it's more of yung kanilang security. Ang issue nila actually, ma'am, yung can they go out of their homes, the security, para makapag-file sila ng kanilang amnesty application. Actually nga, ma'am, when the President issued a memorandum order granting us the authority to issue a safe conduct pass, nagdoble ang aming applicants. Para bang from April 8 nag-issue si Presidente, pagka June nag-search ng 1,006 kaagad ang applicants. So, malaking bagay. And then, nung in-issue namin ang safe conduct pass, kasi ma'am, the way we issued safe conduct pass, we have ceremonies to encourage others to go out and apply for amnesty. Ang nangyayari, after the ceremony, may nagsasalita, nagpapasalamat, may nagre-response. Alam mo mga response nila napakasimple. Maraming salamat, makapag-malling na kami ng family ko. O, di ba? Very simple. Ganyan naman kanilang issue.
Arlene Delgado, ABS-CBN.
Kay Yusek Torres. Yusek, we just like to get your reaction po dun sa naging proposal ni Senator Win Gatchalian to merge yung Office of the Presidential Advisor on the Peace, Reconciliation, and Unity with the NTF-ELCAC, citing that this could streamline yung peace processes and peace efforts and also yung government operational efficiency.
Yeah. Could you give me just a minute? Because we have, I heard that during the one of the budget hearings, it was brought up by Secretary Gatchalian.
Senator Gatchalian.
Yung harmonization ng ELCAC and OPAPRO's peace programs. Okay, this is our reply to it. Crizel, Arlie. We welcome constructive calls for harmonization and affirm our ongoing robust collaboration with OPAPRO. While our mandates are distinct, NTF-ELCAC focuses on addressing active communist insurgency through the whole-of-nation approach in geographically targeted conflict zones, and OPAPRO oversees broad-based peace processes. We recognize the imperative to synchronize efforts where our work intersects. Through the Executive Committee of the NTF-ELCAC, chaired by the President, we actively align strategies, deconflict programs, and integrate resource allocation, particularly in transition areas like BARM and conflict-cleared barangays, shifting to sustainable development. Ang main difference ng function ng OPAPRO sa NTF-ELCAC is that OPAPRO's Pamana program operates at the provincial and municipality and connects all the ELCAC-cleared barangays and provides complementary sustainable programs. For instance, the BDP project and OPAPRO's social healing initiatives already operate complementarily to prevent duplication. So kami sa NTF-ELCAC, we commit to enhancing this synergy through joint impact assessments and shared data platforms, ensuring that all peace-building efforts remain cohesive, efficient, and laser-focused on the ultimate goal, which is enduring peace and inclusive development for all Filipinos. So just like what happened earlier, nandun naman si Secretary Galvez, no? While BDP programs were discussed, strictly speaking yung BDP, there are programs also that would complement that. Take for instance yung farm-to-market road. Doon sa mga BDP projects, mga maliliit lang na farm-to-market roads yan, parang opening lang. But yung sa Pamana program ng naman, they have projects that would connect all of these small farm to market roads in the geographically isolated and disadvantaged area. That is just one. Now sa NTF-ELCAC, meron din tayong mga deradicalization program and mga reintegration program that is fully complemented by the transformation program of the OPAPRO. So basta nag-i-intersect yung aming mga mandate and the programs, there's always the executive committee as a forum to, so that there won't be any duplication of actions and tasks. Thank you.
Next question, Junel Maribohok, UNTV.
List lang po ng konti para po sa AFP. Ano po ang naging direktiba ng Pangulo sa pagresponde po sa lindol sa Cebu?
Sa Cebu.
Sa Cebu po. List lang po ako ng issue, sir.
Yung lindol.
Yung lindol.
President was there, no?
Kahit sa saang anumang sakuna po, sir, the Armed Forces of the Philippines, as Bureau of the National Defense, yan po ang instruction is always to support our agencies involved in that. At nakahanda po yung ating mga search and rescue teams. We have our ships, vehicles, mobility, fixed wing, and rotary wing aircrafts. Nakahanda po yan at ang guidance po is to bring those assets as close as possible to the affected barangays. Of course, safest din, considering din sa sitwasyon. So yan po, handang-handa po ang Armed Forces of the Philippines sa pagtulong sa nangyari po sa mga kababayan natin sa Cebu. Thank you, sir.
By the way, if I may just list din naman ako ng kaunti. One of our strong partners in our campaign for unity, peace, and development is are the former rebels, no? Yung mga tumutulong na sa atin. And fortunately, last April, we have already established a national organization of former rebels or peace advocates, no? Numbering to about 55,000 nationwide with regional organization. And we invited their president earlier in the executive meeting just to manifest our appreciation to the efforts of this group of former rebels. At yung presidente po nila ay si Mr. Noel Legazpi, nandoon po. Kasama po natin. He used to be the Deputy Secretary of Far South Mindanao region. And their group is really committed, 55,000 of them, to help us out in really uplifting the communities in those Gidas area. So thank you. So Buklod Kapayapaan Federation Incorporated. So we would like to solicit, of course, your support also to this particular group, because we would like them to be an independent organization, because they would like to they told me that they cannot forever live on assistance of the government. They really would like to stand on their own, and they have that potential, they have that skills, no, to organize and to make their organization really be an organization that would address the different issues and concerns of former rebels. And there are a lot. Hindi lang po yung mga nabanggit natin kanina about security is one already, no? Livelihood opportunities, no? And all of those things, no? So we now have that former rebels organization to address such concerns of our former rebels to support yung ating Amnesty program, yung ating ECLIP, no, and other transformation program for the former rebels.
There are no more questions. We can put this briefing to a halt. Again, thank you so much to our panelists, Bishop Noel Pantoja, Justice Angelita Miranda, Attorney Leia Armamento, Undersecretary Ernesto Torres Jr., and Lieutenant General Jimmy Larida of the AFP. Thank you, sirs and ma'ams, and thank you, Malacanang Press Corps. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Salamat.